YouTube Niner Empire, the 49ers are eyeing Jim Schwartz for their defensive coordinator job. There were some interesting tweets that were put out today from NFL Network's Tom Pelissero. If you guys don't know, the Cleveland Browns hired former Ravens offensive coordinator Todd Monken as their next head coach. Now, Cleveland interviewed a number of candidates, and a name on that list that they interviewed for their head coaching vacancy was Jim Schwartz, their longtime defensive coordinator. I think a lot of people, I at least thought, Jim Schwartz was more than likely not, or more likely than not, going to be their next head coach. Obviously, it's a big hire for Cleveland. They've been a dog shit franchise for as long as I can remember. They want to get somebody in there that can finally get it right. And I think Kevin Stefanski had some success there, but nothing major, right? But anyway, so they're looking at a number of different candidates. Jim Schwartz, their longtime defensive coordinator, was one of the names among that list. However, today news broke that they were officially hiring Ravens or former Ravens offensive coordinator Todd Monken as their next head coach. Now, Tom Pelissero puts out a tweet. Let me see if I can share my screen here. Let's see. Here we go. So, Tom Pelissero puts out this tweet. After the Browns informed defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz this morning they were passing over him to hire Todd Monken as head coach, Schwartz was visibly upset, said goodbyes in the building, and told other coaches he's not coming back. Sources tell the Insider Schwartz is under contract and Cleveland wants to retain him, but his future is now unclear. Here's another interesting tweet that he quoted of the one I just read. The 49ers, among others, would likely have interest in Jim Schwartz if and when he becomes available. Schwartz was in the Browns facility the past couple of days in anticipation of being named head coach, but he'd already told people that if he were passed over, he wasn't staying. Interesting stuff. Seems like to me, which rightfully so, Jim Schwartz is pretty pissed off that he didn't get the Browns head coaching job. I think what Jim Schwartz has done for Cleveland has been sensational, in my opinion. I mean, he's pretty much had them, as a top defense over the last couple of years. He's actually only been their defensive coordinator since 2023. For some reason, I thought it may have been more than 3-4 years. However, it's beside the point. What he's done as the Cleveland Browns defensive coordinator has been sensational, and that's been one of their highlights over the last couple of seasons. It's been their defense and the success that they've been able to have on defense. They haven't really had success at all offensively, but Jim Schwartz and what he's done for their defense, sensational. And Jim Schwartz is one of the brighter defensive minds in all of football, one of the best defensive coordinators in all of football. And he has been consistently for the last couple seasons. So, he's pissed off as he should be. I think he probably thought, he had done everything he possibly could have done to become Kevin Stefanski's successor as their head coach. But Cleveland, they decide to go with a 60-year-old Todd Monken instead, and that might be a right hire. Nobody really knows what Todd Monken's going to do. I do think for Cleveland's sake, I see why they would want to go with an offensive head coach. I think, who is it, Nathan Scheelhaus, the Rams passing game coordinator. I think that's an intriguing name. I don't know if Todd Monken is the right guy. Only time will tell. I think there were better candidates than Todd Monken. And if it were up to me, I think I'm hiring Jim Schwartz, before Todd Monken. But who knows? Maybe Schwartz didn't impress during interviews. I'm not entirely sure. There's a lot of different, factors that go into, teams interviewing head coach candidates and things like that. But bottom line is Jim Schwartz not happy. And again, he's reportedly told, people within the Browns organization, and told other coaches that he's done and he's not coming back. Now, the interesting thing to all of this is Jim Schwartz is still under contract. So he can't just kind of up and leave, right? Like Cleveland owns rights to him unless they decide to mutually part ways. It's interesting, but obviously the biggest thing from all of this is that, the 49ers are interested in Jim Schwartz, rightfully so. I think Jim Schwartz would be a fantastic hire for this team. I think he would be, and I said this, when I talked about Saleh going to the Titans and some of the defensive coordinator candidates. Jim Schwartz, in my opinion, is by far the best guy for the 49ers defensive coordinator job. He would be my pick. Obviously, if he wants to come to San Francisco, that's the biggest thing. Kyle Shanahan has always praised Jim Schwartz. They worked with each other in the past. This would be a home run type of hire for the 49ers. And again, I mean, I think he's gonna have, a lot of different options. There's going to be a number of teams interested in him. But the 49ers need to do whatever it takes to get him to San Francisco to be Saleh's successor. Also, I think I just said Jim Schwartz and Shanahan have worked with each other before. They've never worked on the same coaching staff, but obviously they have a long history as opponents. And Schwartz has historically dominated Kyle Shanahan in his offense with like an 8-2 or 8-1 record against him. And it seems like every time the 49ers have played Jim Schwartz, besides this year when they played Cleveland in Cleveland, he's always held the 49ers offense and Kyle Shanahan's offense to, a low amount of points. And again, I think Kyle Shanahan, again, has kind of always struggled against Jim Schwartz. And I think because of that, he's clearly interested in Jim Schwartz and bringing him on, as the defensive coordinator. So I think this is an interesting turn of events. I mean, I think all signs pointed to Gus Bradley being the 49ers' next defensive coordinator, which without a doubt could still happen. Nothing has been set in stone yet. And there hasn't been any hires, but I still think Gus Bradley is the leader in the clubhouse, especially internally. I mean, if they're going to hire somebody internally to be their next defensive coordinator, that guy without a doubt is Gus Bradley. That's exactly what Kyle Shanahan told reporters. Now, I think with Jim Schwartz potentially becoming available, this changes things a little bit, and this puts a twist in things. I think Shanahan talked about Gus Bradley being the leader in the clubhouse internally. If they decide to go externally, who knows who it could be. But what I do know is, Shanahan has mentioned they're going to do their due diligence. They're going to look at external candidates. And, I think this is an important hire. They also need, it seems like every year there is there's a coordinator that ends up getting hired elsewhere. The 49ers haven't had continuity at defensive coordinator in the longest time. I think Jim Schwartz gives them continuity at defensive coordinator. I think Gus Bradley would too, but that's one thing that stands out. Like, no matter who gets hired, they need they need to keep the guy around for a long time. They need continuity with whoever becomes the next defensive coordinator. That's the biggest thing. So again, I think the 49ers probably have their eyes on a couple different external candidates, and there's no doubt in my mind that Jim Schwartz is one of them. And knowing that Cleveland decided to go in a different direction, as their head coach, Jim Schwartz is now pissed off. He's telling people inside the Browns organization he's not coming back. He's telling other coaches that. From what it looks like, he has no desire to return to Cleveland. And I think the only way he would have stayed in Cleveland is if he, were to become their next head coach. And that's not the case. So interesting stuff. This is going to be something to watch out and to kind of look out for, see how this all goes. I mean, obviously, if he ends up mutually agreeing to part ways with Cleveland, there's no doubt in my mind that the Niners are going to call him in for an interview and see how it goes. So let me know what you guys think of Jim Schwartz being pissed off and potentially on his way out in Cleveland. This is a massive candidate for the 49ers' next defensive coordinator role. In my opinion, the best candidate. The 49ers need to do whatever it takes to hire Jim Schwartz. He by far would be the number one choice. I don't have anything against Gus Bradley. I just think Jim Schwartz can come in and really, I think he can do a lot more with the Niners defense. I do. I think Jim Schwartz is on Robert Saleh's type of level when it comes to, calling defensive plays. No disrespect to Gus Bradley. I just think that's such a boring hire. The 49ers need to get somebody in here of a Jim Schwartz caliber, and Jim Schwartz is available. So we'll see what happens. He would absolutely be my desired hire, though, without a doubt. Raheem Morris would also be a good hire. Who knows what's going to happen there? I would be prepared, and I wouldn't be surprised whatsoever if the 49ers go all out and offer Jim Schwartz a massive contract, possibly making him the highest paid defensive coordinator in the league, kind of like how they did with Saleh last year. Make him the highest paid defensive coordinator in all of football and get him to San Francisco. We'll see what happens. Stay tuned. Let me know your thoughts. As always, go Niners. I'll see you guys in the next one.